let's get everybody, both of you, to say hello one time.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Perfect.
Hello.
Good. All right, let's go.
All right. Marty Frascogna, glad to have you on the podcast, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, excited. I mean, we got a lot of fun stuff.
What guest number am I?
Oh, good question.
How many of these?
I think it'd be 23, 22.
So there's 22 people in front of me that you considered better guests.
Yeah, probably so. Or 22 people that I had a better time scheduling than you. That's what people have been asking me about. It's really about when I see somebody, I schedule them, and then it just where it falls.
I felt less special the other day when you asked 3 people in front of me if they.
I only asked one person in front of me, but I mean, I already had you scheduled. So
okay, fair enough. Yeah.
And you've also gotten a lot of free advertising, which we're going again today. Can't wait to dig into that.
This is authentic. I
didn't even realize I was there.
I didn't. Yeah, who knew? Whoa, my shirt. Yeah. I had no idea. It's what I wear every day.
We were saying yesterday at Rhymes that every time we would pan out or cut to me and cut back, there'd be another 12 case of Nuke stacked up behind him.
So we talked about, look, I removed the chair and I built a throne of just.
By the end of the episode, all you can see in the background is Nuke. All right. So, Marty, man, we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about, dude. I'm excited to get in this. Well, let's kind of go back to where you grew up. So you grew up in Jackson, went to Jackson Prep. What was that like growing up in there, and what kind of kid were you?
I mean, you grew up here too.
Yeah.
So, what was it like going to prep or just growing up in Jackson?
Growing up.
Let's see. I mean, I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a really good place to grow up. My friend group, I don't know how you were, but it was like back when I was at prep, you were really condensed to the schools. Like your friends were at prep, your friends were at JA, your friends were at MRA. I was the floater kid. I felt like I had really good friends at prep, but it was always odd to like other people are like, why are you going to hang out at MRA this week or Madison Central this week? So I loved it. It was a great upbringing, good friend group, like amazing families. I loved prep. Some people hated high school and their high school experience. I had a great one. Mm-hmm. So I have nothing but positive memories of just everything in high school and growing up.
I was the same. I mostly hung out with people from my school, especially once you get into junior high and high school and start driving around. But I mean, playing sports was a big part of my life too. And so I had a lot of friends from other schools on different teams or whatever. But if I was going to somebody's house, it was usually somebody from high school.
I think it's cool now. I mean, I just kind of look through my son and it's like he's got buddies everywhere. Mm-hmm. Like they'll be like, it's my friend. He goes to Pisgah. I'm like, what? I didn't even know where this was when I was a kid. But they seem to have buddies all over. I think it's just travel sports. But
so, what all sports were you playing when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, I think I played everything. I played basketball. I played football. I ran track, baseball. Those are kind of the core ones. I hung up baseball maybe 8th grade. Mm-hmm. I was pretty terrible. I was a great center fielder. Then at some point I had trouble tracking the ball. Yeah. It was all moving too fast.
Like catching fly balls and stuff?
Yeah. Couldn't read it off the bat, and then could not hit a curveball. Yeah. So at some point I think I hung that up. And then also in 8th grade, I remember my last basketball game. So I pulled up at half court. I was point guard. And I dribbled down the court, and I pulled up at half court because apparently I thought I had the hot hand and just absolutely launched one. And I can just remember my coach going, no! And it what was are you doing? Completely missed backboard, missed everything. And then he pulled me out, and I was like, I don't think this one's for me.
Oh, that's hilarious. Like a literal half court shot.
So my specialty, I feel like I was always brought in to like foul out of the game. Yeah. So I would come in, I would be the one that was like all over. And then I would foul out. So 9th grade moving forward, I was just track and football. Mm-hmm. Those are the core ones.
Did you think much about what you wanted to be when you grew up, or what direction you wanted your life to head at that point?
That's deep as a 9th grader, Hunter. Yeah. No, maybe. So in 9th grade, I'm trying to just think where I was, and you're talking about also growing up. So like I had a unique situation, I would say, growing up. Like my mom went to the W, my dad went to Mississippi State. He ran track there. So we were kind of like loosely state fans. And then when I was in 8th or 9th, I think it was 9th grade, my brother, who started at Millsaps, then went to Notre Dame.
I didn't realize he started there.
He started at Millsaps. Okay. I think he could tell you the story, but I think he had good grades in high school. I think he applied for Notre Dame, didn't get in, talked to admissions and said, what do I need to do to get in? And they said, okay, where are you located? And they said, you need to go to Millsaps. And if you can make good grades at Millsaps, you'll probably get in. So that's what he did. He went to Millsaps. Let me cut my ringer off.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, so he went to Millsaps for a year, and I don't really remember that phase so much. But
How much older than you?
6 years.
Okay.
So I got a brother that's 6 years older and a sister that's 3 years older.
Okay.
And so he went to Notre Dame, I think, when I was in 9th grade. So our weekends weren't like going to Starkville and Oxford. Like, I don't even know if I'd ever even been to Oxford until I was maybe in college. We'd get in the games after my junior high games, and we'd drive to South Bend, Indiana, which was like maybe not a cool thing for people around here. But it was always different. So I didn't have that point of connection with folks of just like, oh, State, Ole Miss.
Right.
I was like, we're playing Michigan this week. Like, nobody cares. Nobody cares. It was awesome. So I forgot where I was going with, you'd asked what were my kind of ambitions. So I remember watching my brother accomplish that, which was super cool when you're in 9th grade and, you know, your brother's older and you see him kind of going off and doing big things. I think our parents were always really grounded in the sense of like dream big. I didn't really know the application of that. It was just maybe the consistency of that message. So as a 9th grader, I don't think I really knew what I wanted to do. I had no clue. I do remember probably around that time, 9th or 10th grade, it was the consistent message of like, do you want to play college sports? And if the answer was yes, which it was like, okay, well, you know, remember you're on a track to play college sports. And that was always kind of like the pullback. So if you're getting a little off course, it was, well, remember you want to play college sports. And then it was, and you're going to play college sports. So there was this leap of just constantly telling us that we're going to do it, which I think put us on a mindset of like, okay, well, I got to do something big. So
that
I
was
just
your
remember
parents
that
telling you?
mindset.
Your parents were reminding you of that?
Yeah. And then I think, I mean, I really good older brother and older sister. I think that was kind of like, you know, when my parents weren't around, that was the message.
That's cool.
And it wasn't necessarily with sports. It was just like, you know, you can do something bigger, like think through that. Don't just kind of live day to day with no plan. Yeah.
So it sounds like your brother and your sister were both pretty big influences on your life at that point.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So at what point did you kind of hone in on football?
Well, I love track. Track was my favorite.
Oh, yeah. What'd you run in track?
I ran the 100, the 200, the 400 relay, the 800 relay.
Wow.
Unfortunately, the open 400, and unfortunately, the mile relay.
The 400, I think, is the worst race.
It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. Yeah. I was decent in it, which that sucked because then I always had to run it. But love track. I would say probably in 10th grade is when I realized, okay, football is going to be my focus. I think I had a really good 9th grade year. And that was the first time that I kind of got the positive juices from it. And I think everybody, once they have that experience growing up where they have like that year where it all kind of comes together, then it changes your mindset of like, I'm pretty decent at this. Like the work is now paying off and I can see it. So I think at that point I focused on it. And then we had a really good class. Like it was a pretty stacked class, and a couple of us were getting recruited. And I remember thinking, okay, this is going to be my focus in college. Probably around 10th grade.
I'll tell you two of my track stories real quick. So I remember the first time I ever got tunnel vision was in the 400, like 7th or 8th grade. I remember distinctly it was at Jay. And on that last 100 meters, it was like everybody was neck and neck, and all of a sudden everything just got black on the sides.
That's it.
And then 9th grade, I ran the 800 because I was a big soccer player. And I had a really good race at the 9th grade meet. And they were like, hey, we got some guys out of town for this relay race for the high school. We want you to start the race off for us. Well, the previous race I'd been training a lot for, I showed up to this one and I hadn't been running at all for it.
It's a good formula.
Yeah,
that's a great formula.
It was at Prep, and Pearl High School was there, and you know Pearl was really good at track. And somehow we get off, and I got out in front, and they all were just drafting off of me on the first lap. And I was like, oh, this is not good. This is not good. As soon as we crossed that first 400 line, they all sprinted past me, and I was completely out of gas at that point. And I still had another 400 to go. Dude, they finished like 250 meters ahead of me.
Oh, are you joking?
No, I was just completely out of gas.
Yeah.
I passed the baton, fall face first in the grass, didn't move for like 30 minutes. And they finished, all three other guys on my team finish. We just get crushed because I did so poorly.
Yeah.
I was never asked back to do it at that point, and that was kind of the end of my
You'll
track
like this story. So when I first met Leslie, my wife, it was her first time to come to Mississippi. And we weren't married. We were just dating at the time. So somehow we're at my parents' house. My brother and sister are there. And so we're all sitting around. Something was brought up about the 400. And Leslie makes some comment. It doesn't seem that hard. So we're all like, okay, what do you think you could run it in? And it was like, oh, I could definitely do it in under 80 seconds, whatever it was. And we're like, there's a track. So my parents live near Jackson Academy. So like the track and the baseball field, we could just hop a fence and we'd be there. She was like, oh, I'll do it. I'm like, she's an idiot right now. Like she just met everybody. Yeah. So I don't even know if she had like track clothes. So we're wrapping up dinner. She was like, oh, I'll do it right now. I'm like, okay, my hat's off to you.
Right,
like you're trying to prove yourself. This is great. So we all hop the fence. She's hyped it up. I can do it under whatever the time frame was. So we're all watching. I mean, it's just, okay, we got the stopwatch, go. So she takes off and I'm like, there's no way she's going to crash. You can just see it. You've run the race. Yeah. So she makes it around that first turn. And then all of a sudden she's on the straightaway and it starts slowing. Then she hits the 3. And then that's when the bear creeps out and jumps on you. So she makes the turn. And then the last straightaway, she started in lane 8 and she would make it to like lane 3 and then weave back. And she was just absolutely pale. Looked like she was going to projectile vomit on herself. She finished and she did it in whatever she claimed she could do it under. She did it under that.
Wow. Did she throw up after that?
She did not throw up. That's the only time I've ever seen my wife run the open 400.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love the confidence. Like, I'll do it right now. Let's do it. And I love that your family was like, there's a track right here. Let's go.
Let's just do it. Okay. You're going to run your mouth. Let's go.
Yeah. So you said you started getting recruited. At what point did you what schools were showing interest? And then when did you ultimately decide on Millsaps?
Well, it's funny because you've done it. Everybody starts, dude, Rice is talking to me.
I got a letter from Rice.
Temple. And it's like, no, you're not. I mean, yes, every senior in America will get the letter, and then somehow that translates to I'm being heavily recruited. No, I think the schools that I really did focus on that I would say I was recruited by, it was State, it was Ole Miss, and then Millsaps did not emerge as any contender whatsoever until like the 11th hour. I remember, I think the State coach was Jackie Sherrill. Jackie Sherrill wanted me as a tailback, which is what I played at prep. And then I just remember thinking, I don't think I can do well at State as a tailback. And then I just remember always meeting with him in the coach's office at prep. And it's a cool feeling. You're like, somebody wants me to play. Forgot who the Ole Miss coach was. They wanted me as a defensive back. So it was two total different things. I think I said, all right, I did. I was like, I'm going to go to Ole Miss because I knew who my roommate was going to be. And then right at the end is when Millsaps made like a big push on a lot of kids all at the same time at prep. And I had a really good friend, Jason Cabell. Jason Cabell, probably before they had all the rankings, he was the most unassuming linebacker you would ever see. Just kind of tall, lanky guy. And it was a really good friend. He was my roommate at Millsaps too, but they lived in Belhaven. I remember going somewhere, walking in, And, you know, everybody had the answering machine like you had physically hit back then, and you would hear the recording. And we walked into his house and it was like, "Hey, Jason, this is Steve Spurrier at Florida." And he like freaked out and hit delete. Like, so
Really?
none of us would hear it.
He didn't even want y'all to know.
He didn't want anybody to hear it.
Wow.
And then we're all like, "What?" And then all of a sudden like hits play and the next message is, "Hey, Jason, this is Tom Osborne at Nebraska." No, delete. So we're like, oh my gosh. I mean, we knew he was good.
Yeah.
He was a film hawk.
Yeah.
So he knew where the ball was before a handoff ever happened or a pass materialized. He was so good. And I remember Millsaps started recruiting him, and it was like, dude, Millsaps, and then you got Nebraska and Florida and Michigan. Like, this is no way. And this is his personality. It was just like, at some point he chose, I'm going to go to Millsaps. And I think that changed my entire mindset of just like, I didn't even know the school was here. Okay, I can stay in Jackson. I got a buddy that's going there. And then it was Coach Page, who was the baseball coach. He was the one, I didn't even play baseball, but I just remember he was a phenomenal recruiter. And I remember a lot of us going on campus. He talked to us. I was like, this place, I had no idea it was even here. Even when my brother went there, I don't even know if I ever went to a game. So it changed because I think I started looking at the educational side of it, of, okay, I could go to Millsaps. Okay, that's a phenomenal education. At some point, I think my mindset was, I maybe will do what my brother did. I'll go to Millsaps, and then I'll transfer and try to go to Notre Dame, because to me, Notre Dame was just a special place then. And that was my path. I mean, I obviously never transferred to Notre Dame.
Staying there.
But
so I remember when I was at prep in high school, when we would travel for football games, they would play like film. And a lot of times they would play Millsaps, and when they even showed us Millsaps film,
going to high school games,
and they would show us Millsaps film in the film room to show us Jason Cabell. Right?
It was Jason Cabell,
and they would like make us watch him on this play, and he would just be killing people.
I mean, he was a man amongst boys at Millsaps.
He
played, I think he only played 1 year. So our linebackers when I was at Millsaps, it was Jason Cabell, who I would say was the most highly recruited linebacker at that time. His brother Adam Cabell, who also went to prep, but then got a scholarship to Stanford with a T, not Samford.
Yeah.
He was out in he was in Palo Alto. And he was dating somebody from Jackson that I think had a car accident and died. And he moved back. He was the middle linebacker. And then somebody that transferred in from University of Memphis. So our three linebackers were the number one recruit, probably a Stanford linebacker and a Memphis linebacker.
So you had a solid defense then.
Yeah, it was solid defense. So that still cracks me up when people are like, dude, I could have gone to play D3.
Yeah.
It's like, were you going to beat out the Stanford linebacker, the Memphis linebacker?
Well, I mean, you know, my experience was every year there's like 20, 25 guys coming in who all think I'm going to be starting freshman year. I'm going to be All-American. And then they quickly realize through fall ball, this ain't going to work out. And then half of them end up transferring. And then you end up graduating with three guys that you came in with of the 25.
It's college ball. It's a different level, however you want to look at it.
Absolutely. So what was that like walking on to Millsaps, a pretty small school at the time and still is?
Yeah. Well, I didn't walk on. So
well, I mean, like stepping on the campus.
No, it was, I think I came in with like this arrogance of like, I'm going to be the dude, as most people do when they're like, hey, I could have played SEC ball, but I'm going to come play D3 ball. And I think like from jump, I'm like, everybody here is really good. So it was like it was a change of like, I may not be the man. I'm gonna have to put in the work. I mean, it's talented. I love the people on campus. It works in like cycles of where everybody comes from. Everybody when I was there was either coming from Virginia, Maryland, or New Orleans.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean, it was different people, different walks of life. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. We had a lot of people from New Orleans, but we had a lot of people from Texas. A lot of guys came from Texas to play baseball there. So, so what was your experience there playing ball, and how did your career end up turning out?
I would say I had a pretty good career. It was freshman year. That was kind of the recalibration. I was fortunate. I did start freshman year at corner, and I think I returned to some kickoffs. And then sophomore year is where I had some success, and that's when I started to kind of feel it. And again, I think it's like when you're in a sport, once you kind of feel the juices, like, oh, this is trending, then it kind of changes things for you. So I had a good sophomore year. Started to get a good bit of interceptions. That was kind of my thing. And then going into my junior year, I had a season-ending injury in the first game. So I had a running my mouth problem. And
Shocker.
I had a running my mouth problem. And the irony was, when someone was just abusing me, then I would run my mouth even more. So we were playing Austin College. I don't know if y'all ever played them. They're somewhere in Sherman, Texas, or something.
Texas, yeah.
And they had a wide receiver who we were just working on each other all day. And I think I had made a big play on him, and then he, strung together some big catches on me. And then I start running it. And it was second quarter, still pretty early in the game. And they had a big running back who ended up playing for the Ravens. And big dude. I just had no business trying to square this guy up. So at some point, he runs a sweep coming to my side, and I try to form tackle him, and I'm just going backwards. So I'm bent. And at that point, the receiver comes and he spears me in the back as I'm bent backwards. And I remember everything just went white. That's what I remember. And I'm right there on the sideline. So the whistle blows and I just kind of roll over. And I think my brother was back for the game at that point. And I'm on the sideline. I'm like, my back. And I just remember him kind of like kicking me in the ribs. He was like, you got to get up or that's going to lock up on you. And I'm like, dude, it's so much. I can't see anything.
Brothers are that?
Yeah. So, I ended up, I think doctor checked me out and they're like, he's got to go to the hospital. I ended up breaking 4 bones in my lower back. Oof. And that knocked me out for the year. Yeah, so I felt like that was going to be my year. That slowed things down. And then huge transition at that point. I missed the entire year. Then our head coach left. So Millsaps was in a transition. Then it got really awesome after that because we had a big donor that came in. They gave $1 million to the football program. I don't know if you remember this. It was like you go from staying in La Quintas with 4 people in a room to then it was like we were the only Nike sponsored Division III school. All the seniors had custom suits. We started flying to games.
Oh, wow.
It was insane.
Wow.
And so that was when we had a new coach that came in. It was Bob Tyler, who coached in the SEC. He was awesome. And everything just kind of changed. That's when they renewed the rivalry with Mississippi College. We played in Memorial Stadium, broke the Division III attendance record. I think it was like 14,000 that we played in front of. Yeah, and which is insane.
That's awesome.
So that was fun. And then I had a great junior year and then came back for my 5th year because of the
So you got a red shirt the one year you got?
Yeah, I ended up playing for 4 years.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And so you ended up getting elected into the Hall of Fame a couple years ago. What was that like? How did
that was
feel?
pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was, I don't know how you were when you got it. Like there was a part of it, and I'd say this like professionally too, when something happens, it's a little bit of imposter syndrome. Like, did I have that good of a career there?
I remember you told me that.
It was strange, but I mean, because when I was there, I was like, dude, there were so many people that were like better than me. And there was a part too that I would like think back on my career. I was like, I was an average football player. But no, I think I had some key things that happened that like in hindsight, I'd be like, okay, I could see that. It was cool. I mean, but it was that imposter syndrome of just the thing that I remember. I feel like I told you the story. I think I still have the interception return for a touchdown record at Millsaps. So there's 2 things that stood out to me my last year. Number one was that we beat Trinity, which I think was number 3 in the country when we played them. And I had a buddy, Dave Mistretta. He works for the FBI now. Dave Mistretta broke. He was a safety. I was a corner. Dave broke the school record maybe in the 3rd quarter. Actually, no, it was 4th quarter. He broke the school record interception return for a touchdown in the 4th quarter. It was huge. It was key point in the game. And I think it was maybe 95 yards or something. Next possession, I ended up intercepting it. And I break Dave's record. So he had it for like
1 quarter.
He had it for like 3 minutes.
For one possession. What was yours? 90?
I think mine was 97.
So you got him by 2 yards.
I got him by, just a couple of yards. But that was the key. I thought this was so cool. It's the obscure stat, but I was like, well, okay, I got some swagger. That year, I led divisions 1, 2, and 3 in interception return yards.
Wow.
But with it was like some small little caveat. It was like with a minimum of 5 interceptions.
Oh, yeah.
But I had one that was 97 yards. And then I had one against Rhodes that didn't result in a touchdown. I got clipped at the end. That was like 90 yards. And then I had another one that was like 70. So it was pretty cool. I remember looking at it. It was like, oh, number 2 on the list is Tay Diggs or somebody like that from Florida State. And I was like, bro, I got you.
That's awesome.
I got you.
Yeah, that's really cool, man. It's such an honor to, Millsaps is such a small community, and I feel like everybody that went there or play sports or whatever, we all feel very connected, and because I think there was 1,000 people at school when I was there. I don't know how big it was when you were there, but
probably the same.
Yeah, about the same. So, I always cheer for everybody from Millsaps, and I love hearing the stories. So, coming out of Millsaps, what did you think you were going to do for a career?
Oh boy, that was a wild card. So I started off history. Well, when I went there, I wanted to be a dentist, but there's no dental program at Millsaps. So then I think upon direction from my parents, it was like, well, why don't you major in history? And I don't remember the reasoning behind that, but it was like, okay, I'll get into history. And there's some awesome history professors there, but I think at some point I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then I switched to political science, which I'm not in politics. I don't use any of this, but they were awesome with that too. It was Omo Bare. Was he there?
Yeah, he was.
He was a dude. I like that guy.
Yeah.
So I was political science. And then, but while I was at Millsaps, I started working in the entertainment world, which that was probably my pivot at that point. I just didn't really see the path, but I started booking bands. So the fraternities would have parties, and it was like, hey, I'll get you guys a band. And that's how I got started. And
what made you decide to say I can book these guys for you?
So we have a little bit of an entertainment background. So my father's an entertainment attorney. I think he did something similar. He used to have, well, I know he did. He used to have a booking agency called Frasco Entertainment, which that's how he paid his way through college. And then that morphed into a recording studio. He's out of college at State at this point, and there wasn't a whole lot of stuff in the South. So he had this background, which kind of led to him being an entertainment attorney later in life. And entertainment law is pretty it's all over the place. Several things. It's music, it's film, it's movies, it's television, it's literary. So that's kind of in sports. It's kind of the whole spectrum of it. And I remember at some point, maybe I was just like, man, I need to get a job, and maybe he threw out that suggestion of like, why don't you book bands? And then I found a little bit of a formula that worked when I was there. So that was kind of my dip into it. And then I realized I wanted to go to graduate school, and I went to Mississippi College. And I think that was also my way of like, okay, I need a job, but I don't want to go do a 9-to-5 job. So I just kept booking bands and kept kind of growing the agency and things like that. And, I'm 22. It's a mild level of success. It's nothing like earth shattering, but you realize, oh, I can make some money doing this.
Yeah.
And then I think it was maybe suggested like, hey, have you thought about law school? And I knew booking bands wasn't going to be like my forever path. So in the entertainment space, I remember thinking, okay, I want to be a manager one day. I'm going to manage bands. And then the dream job was like, oh, you're going to work in A&R for a record label. You couldn't pay me enough money to do either one of those things.
Now, knowing what you
but
know.
That seemed like the most ideal path. And I realized the ones that had success in that space, especially managers, were like, okay, well, I guess I'll go to law school. I think I applied for law school and didn't get in. There was, I really don't remember. I think I didn't get in. My LSAT was trash probably. And then I ended up going to graduate school again for second master's and a second private school, which is terrible from a student loan perspective. But it's, I went to DePaul University in Chicago.
Okay.
And then after that is when I came back and went
so
to law school.
What grad school was that you went to DePaul for?
So I got a master's in communication at Mississippi College because I don't know where that applies to life. And then I got a master's in international communication at DePaul because I really didn't know where to apply that.
Not just communication. Now I'm going to get international.
I need to have that international side to me. So yeah, that's where it kind of changed. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the history professors at Millsaps. Before we move on, I ended up taking a lot of history classes at Millsaps just because.
Was it McLevane? Was he there when you were there?
Yeah. I went through the heritage program.
He was awesome.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed it. And so like when I was trying to fill out my roster, I was a business major, but then you always have a couple extra to fill out. I always end up taking history courses. So I think I was like maybe 1 or 2 away from having a history minor there. And I just really enjoyed the classes. They were really good professors and really interesting. So so you went to Mississippi College.
Yeah.
And then you went to, what made you go to DePaul?
So I wasn't ready to go to law school. I probably wanted to move. I mean, there was a big part of me that was like, I need to experience other things. And then that one made sense for me because my sister was doing her residency at, she was in med school and then she was doing her residency at Northwestern.
Okay.
So I thought that was cool. Like, oh, I could move, I could go here, I could live with my sister. And then my cousin was actually, I don't know if you graduated with Lou. Was Lou older than you?
He was a little bit older.
Okay, so he was in law school at John Marshall, which is in Chicago. And then his wife, who was Molly Matthews, is now Marty Frascogna. She was an architect in Chicago. So it was like, okay, this is pretty cool. This is if I'm going to move off, this is an easier move off because there's going to be 4 Frascognas here now. So that was probably the main draw.
Cool. So what was it like moving to Chicago? Was that a big culture shock or not?
I loved it.
Did you?
Every bit of it. I mean, it's still... That was probably the first thing that maybe I was like, hey, this was the right decision. Like from start to finish, it was the right decision. I grew a lot as a person, just realizing, okay, I can do a lot of things on my own. There was just something, I love the city. The city's amazing. Like I feel like I've been to some cool places and that's still one of my favorites.
Really?
And then I really liked DePaul. Like DePaul was a fantastic experience. And honestly, I was telling somebody this story the other day. It's this doesn't really work in, but obviously,
no, go ahead.
Obviously,
mix it in.
I met my wife in Chicago, so that's something special. So I had a Great Dane, and I'd take the Great Dane to the dog beach like every single day. It's Montrose Dog Beach, and she was pretty antisocial, the Great Dane. So I'd just kind of go there, and she'd dig holes, and we'd hang out. So I'd been there for well over a year and would go pretty much every day. And towards the end, I went and so my dog's playing with this little rat terrier. And then like, I can tell they're not socializing with any other dogs. And then the owner of the rat terrier, which is now Leslie, we strike up conversation. And that's how I met my wife.
Wow.
But she told me she owned a flower shop. So I was like, oh gosh, I didn't get this girl's number, but I know the flower shop that she owns. And it was in a neighborhood called Roscoe Village, which was, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes train or something from where I lived. So I was like, I got to have an excuse to go get flowers. And I don't know if I tell myself this version of the story or if it was accurate, but I was like, okay, my sister's coming in town. I'm going to get her flowers. So I take the train, I go to Roscoe Village. I go in and reintroduce myself and we strike up conversation. And her mom was there, her sister was there because it was like the night after her birthday or the day after her birthday. And they came to bring her something. So I'm sitting there talking to her family. I get flowers. I don't know what to do with these flowers at that moment. But where I went to school at DePaul, they have their undergraduate campus and then they've got their graduate campus. And it's literally in the heart of downtown Chicago. So I took the train and it's this, 10-story building or something, and you'd have to walk through a lobby, and there was a security guard that was always there, and she just looked grizzled and mean as hell every single time that I walked in there. And I just remember her name was Bernadine. And never spoken with her. I have these flowers. I'm going to class because I couldn't go back yet. So I walk in, and for whatever reason, I'm drawn. I walk straight up to her and I said, Bernadine, I have something for you. And she said, what? And she started bawling right in front of me. Wow. And she goes, did you know today was my birthday? And I said, I absolutely did. And I handed her the flowers, and I could have committed cold murder in front of her at any point and moving forward. And she would be like, I didn't see it. That guy's gold. That guy's gold. But yeah, I mean, I remember that experience so much. Wow. It was just like, I don't know why I was drawn to walk up to her, but she just sobbed. And I was like, here you go.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So the dog thing, I want to talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
Dogs are a huge part of y'all's life.
Yeah. How'd you know that?
Because you got my dog.
That's right. Yeah.
I got my first dog from y'all. Did you remember that? Rosie?
Yeah, I have a picture of Rosie in my old legal office sitting in a chair. Yeah,
she's so sweet. I think she's like 7 now.
Oh my gosh,
it's crazy how fast time goes. Yeah, and so every time
my kids still remember Rosie.
Do they really?
Yeah,
we need to bring her over there for y'all to see her.
And then you have another dog named Marty.
That's right.
Yeah,
not named after you, but I don't know why Claire chose.
Sure, it's not. Sure, it's not.
I was like, this is kind of weird, Claire. We got my dog from Marty.
Subconsciously, I know. Yeah, it was there. It was
so. At what point after meeting Leslie did you realize she was the one?
For me, it was pretty quick. Yeah. She'll tell you a different version of the story, more grizzled version of the story. For me, it was pretty quick. I think I was looking for something like different, and she fitted on so many levels, and I just felt like we connected. I mean, we've been married 19 years ago, and you go through different phases, like, just as an individual, you evolve and you go through different stages. But when we connected back then, she was the right person for me then. She is now, but she was the right person for me then. She was also coming out of like a 10-year relationship. So we both joke, had I met her at any other point in my life, there's 0% chance that it would have worked, like 0. So Leslie in high school wouldn't have worked. Me in high school wouldn't have worked. But yeah, I knew pretty quickly. I think the problem was I had applied for law school when we met. So I found out probably a month after we had met that I was going to move back to Mississippi for law school. So we dated from afar, 6 months probably. Most of our relationship before marriage was we dated from afar, which is a real challenge.
How long did y'all do the long distance thing before you got married?
I think we dated for about 6 months in the same location, maybe a little less. And then we were married. We were dated from afar for a year. I think we were engaged. We got married about probably a year and a half after we met.
So Claire, that's eerie because that's almost the exact same trajectory of Claire's and I's, because I've told her that, and I've told a lot of people that, like, if we had met at any other parts of our life, it wouldn't have worked out. And then, she was living in Mobile. Like, the first time I ever met her, I literally left the gym, went home, showered, drove down to Mobile, drove 3 hours, took her out to dinner. We had a great dinner, and then turned around and drove back.
Oh my gosh.
And I think I knew, like, after that first meeting that she was one, and we did the long distance thing for a while, and then she moved here and we got married like a year and a half later. And
we did a lot of, similar to that. It was because I was in law school. I couldn't leave much, and Leslie owned her own business in Chicago at that time. But she would leave like on a Friday night, like we'd be talking, she'd be like, all right, I'm going to drive over and I'll be there in the morning. She'd just drive through.
How long of a drive is that?
Without kids, when we used to do it, it was anywhere from 9 to 10 hours. And then I would kind of do the same thing every now and then. If I had something that was slow in law school, or I would drive. Yeah.
So did you go to MC?
I went to MC.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was that first year of law school like? You always hear nightmares about that first year.
Yeah, that first year is hell. That first year is hell. I've heard it described many ways, but the most accurate is it's like you're really, really thirsty and you just want a sip of water and someone turns a fire hose on full blast and like, go ahead, get a sip. That's what it was like. And it is, I don't know, like you get in later phases in life and you just see certain personality traits and just common threads to so many things. And it doesn't matter if you're in law school today or you were 20 years ago or 20 years before that. It's like the first year is always going to have a batch of what everybody back then called gunners. It was like they're trying to be the top of the class. Yeah. They're trying to knock everybody off. They're the ones bragging about where they're doing their summer internships, all of that stuff. And that's a big part of it, the imposter syndrome going into law school, because you're like, these people seem really like put together, and I don't quite know what I want to do, and I'm not like fighting for a summer intern. So you're just confused, and then it's confusing on top of it. So yeah, I did not. I tell people going into law school, I was like, I was the worst law student. One, because I had student fatigue. Like I had come from a graduate program to another graduate program. At this point, I'm like somewhat of an adult, late 20s, early 30s, and now I'm a law student. I was like, dude, I'm done. I'm gassed. I don't want to learn anymore.
So you were a lot older than a lot of the people in your class.
Yeah.
You know, you probably don't know this, but I really considered going to law school too. Like when I was a kid, I really wanted to be a lawyer, and I so much so that I was like looking up stuff for the LSAT and everything. And I read this book, 1L. Do you know that book? A guy wrote a book about his first year at law school. I think at like Yale Law School, and I read it and I was like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, through a lot of other stuff as well, but I decided not to do it. But I really, really considered it going for a long time. So, how did those 3 years go for you? And how did you juggle that with a long distance relationship? And then I guess y'all got married while you were there.
We got married after my 1L year.
Okay.
I was not a great law student, like probably average or below average at best. Just squeaked by passing the bar, I'm sure. I enjoyed it. I liked all the professors. I liked all the people, but I was entering and I felt like at a different phase. Like I'd just gotten married the summer after 1L. Most people are like coming right out of college. So, Leslie's moving from Chicago to here, knows no one in Mississippi. So, we were just trying to build our life together at that point. So I wasn't going out and socializing with people from my class.
What was that transition like for her to move from Chicago to here, and that y'all had spent your whole life in Chicago and now all of a sudden y'all are in Mississippi?
It was rough. It was rough.
Yeah.
I still remember we lived in Belhaven. We had a house off Piedmont. And I love the house, but it was I'm trying to remember when it was. It was like maybe first or second day that she moved here, and someone brought something over just as a thank you. And they knocked on the door, and Leslie's opening the door, and she just kind of opens it a little bit, and I hear her talking, and then she closes the door and she like puts her back up against the door. I was like, who was it? And she was like, they brought by whatever it was, like brought by muffins. And I was like, and she was like, that's super weird. And I was like, is it? And she was like, I never met my neighbors. So that, yes, this is strange. It was a culture shock. Yeah. And then culture shock for her, marriage shock for both of us. She's also trying to run a business from afar, has no friends here yet, hasn't established a friend group. That was a lot. That was a lot.
So at what point did you decide you want to get into entertainment law?
Probably my second year of law school, realizing like everybody seems to have a path of what they want to do. I had no idea what my path was. I had only worked in entertainment, booking bands at that point. Somewhere between booking bands, I managed a recording studio here. A lot of people don't realize there's it was Terminal Recording Studio back then.
I think I've heard of that.
Beautiful recording studio I think it's in Ridgeland. And they won a Grammy for the Oh Brother, Where Art Thou movie soundtrack, which like crushed it back in the day. Somehow I got connected with them and managed a recording studio. And when I was there, I managed a couple of bands that were from Louisiana and somewhere else. So I was kind of like still dabbling in entertainment. And then listening to everybody in law school of like, oh, I'm going to go into litigation and, I want to do criminal defense. I'm like, bro, I have no idea what I want to do. So I remember sitting in classes and hearing a concept. And I was like, okay, how would that apply in the music industry? And at some point, it does not exist anymore, so please don't Google it. But I started a blog called Music Globalization. And I was, again, terrible student. I would hear something and then zone out and just start writing, just like as an outlet for me to apply it to something that I knew, which was music. And I started writing like, if I was an independent artist, this is what I would want to know. And I would do it from a legal kind of angle. And that was my outlet. And then it didn't do anything until I got into 3L. And then all of a sudden, and this was back like in early days of Twitter, I would post something and have a link to my article. And then all of a sudden it would get like, retweeted by Billboard magazine. I'd be like, what? Oh, wow. Like, what? And then I would start to get some traction and followers, and then people kind of writing me for advice. Like, hey, we're a band. We don't have any money for legal counsel, but can you give us like, some free steps counsel, on what to do? And of course I'm like, well, this is cool. Like people are writing me to ask. At that point I was like, I probably need to go into entertainment law. But I didn't really know what that meant. But that's how it started.
That's really cool. So what were the steps that kind of led you ultimately to go fully 100% in?
I had to tell this story the other day. It's strange because this is really the first like 5-6 years of my career. When I was at DePaul, Madison had a sister city in Sollefteå, Sweden. I don't know if anybody remembers this. Okay. And you would have these towns that would have like a sister city program, and they would. I've
never heard of that before.
Yeah. So they would, work with one another on what they're doing and what we're doing and have this relationship. Madison had one with, it was Sollefteå, Sweden. I may be pronouncing it wrong. But when I was at DePaul, there was a Swedish artist by the name of Carola. No one here's heard of her. It's fine. She's massive. She's like the Madonna of Sweden. So the big competition is called Eurovision. She won Eurovision Song Competition when she was 8. Oh, wow. And then she's like probably 68 now, and she's had a career the entire time. She used to always put an Elvis cut on every single one of her albums later in life. So she had this like connection to Mississippi. So then naturally, whoever runs the Sister City program in Sweden asked Madison, probably Mayor Mary at the time, hey, do you know anybody that can help with this Elvis cut or blues music or something? And I think roads led to one of my dad's clients at the time, and it was like a gospel group. And they're like, well, do you want them to come over and actually be on her big show that's coming up, and they can do some recordings together? So that relationship happened. But at the firm level, it was one like, hey, we don't want to send them over blindly without anybody representing them, and this group's in Sweden, and there's some business relationships. So I was like, oh, I'll go. I've never been to Sweden, and hey, I'm doing international communications right now at DePaul. So I went, and I forgot how old I was, but I loved it. Like connected with the people, connected with all the people working with Carola, and just kind of kept those relationships. Like I'm still friends with a lot of them now. So that was just the undercurrent. And then when I got out of law school, I didn't have any clients. It was one of those, I'm like, dude, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, how do you get clients? I ended up going to Sweden to kind of assist in this situation with the group, and my contacts, I just had great contacts. So when I got out of school and I started to try to develop my own clients and my own rhythm and just what was I doing, I had a lot of these contacts that I'd met in Sweden, 5 years before, they would be working at a record label, and one of them was at Universal in the Baltics. And they had an act that started to get a little bit of traction on US radio, and said, look, they've already got a team. They've already got an attorney here in Sweden, but that attorney doesn't know how to navigate anything going on in the US. Can you kind of step in and help? And so I started to kind of pick up these international clients where international music wasn't as widespread as it is now. Like you look at the Billboard charts, probably 70% of them are coming from somewhere else other than the United States. That was not the case 15 years ago. So I started to get a good bit of clients that way. Same time, I'm also kind of writing a blog about international issues, and things just seemed so random, and I was just doing all of these things. I couldn't see where any of the dots connected until it was probably the turning point in my career was I wrote a blog. It got reposted by Billboard. I'm working on some international projects. And then this band wrote me out of the blue, and they said, hey, we did an Andrea Bocelli song. We did a remake of it. And now we're getting all these letters from the the artist publisher in Milan, Italy. Can you help us? I saw that you do these international music things. So, I did. And then that kind of snowballed. The band ended up being 21 Pilots, like before they got big. And so kind of helping navigate that. And around the time I was representing them at that moment, then they started to get some offers from record labels. And the music industry is very, it's very incestuous for starters. It's not as big as people think it is. At that point for me, it was still really scary because I was like, whoa, this seems so massive. But the record labels usually don't fight over the same toy. And this situation was highly unique because it was like they were all fighting over that band. And that band was really nothing at the beginning. They were just a garage band in Columbus, Ohio. So that was my turning point just in my entire legal career. But it was interesting because I was just doing a lot just to survive. I don't remember, like, there was no strategy.
There wasn't a plan or anything.
There was no plan. It was just like, I have to pay the electrical bill this month. Like, what can I do? And there was no salary to fall back on. Like, it was purely eat what you kill. Like, what are you developing?
So then you started working with 21 Pilots, and then did that bring other bands into the mix?
Yeah, so maybe that's what I meant by the incestuous stuff too. So I worked with them on their first album. When they got signed and through their first album, and then they became very tour heavy. And at that point, I didn't have any perspective on the other nuances of law from touring. So they had transitioned to big law firm in Los Angeles, which, I mean, that would have made sense. I would have done that too. But it was amazing. But when you get album credit on something, and you got up and coming bands that are like, oh, I want to be like them. Who's their manager? Who's their lawyer? And then I started just getting a lot of business that way. And then apparently did well enough in my relations with the record labels that when they sign somebody and that person doesn't have legal counsel, or maybe when they're courting somebody and they don't have legal counsel, they'll identify that and they'll be like, hey, you need an attorney. Here are 5 or 6 that we would recommend. And that ended up always kind of falling in my favor. I got on that referral list with a lot of the big record labels. And then that was maybe the only strategic thing I did in my time, of trying to develop clients. I knew what the typical attorney looked like and the age of that typical attorney, and the process of, hey, I want to meet with this attorney. Great. Contact the office, meet us, get on his secretary's schedule, pay a handsome retainer just to have a meeting. I was like, I'm intentionally going to do the opposite of it. I'm going to wear jeans. I'm going to wear a t-shirt to the office. I'm not going to have a secretary. You can write me on Twitter and I'm going to write you back. There is no fee to discuss something. I mean, I was very intentional of, let me do the opposite everybody's zigging, let me zag to try to develop clients.
And you feel like the people that you worked with, they were gravitating towards that particular way you were doing business?
Yes, but I think there was also that imposter syndrome again of like, man, do I belong here? I'm young, I'm not in a primary market. And all of those things oddly started playing in my favor like later in life. I just put my head down, I do good work. I'm not overly sharing on social media. A lot of the big attorneys in big markets have to constantly present what they're working on just to kind of keep getting those big things. And then I started getting referrals from, I mean, I've got some pretty awesome clients. So people are like, wait, what?
Yeah.
But I don't ride their coattails to get more clients. I don't really talk about it, and call me on my cell phone. There's no big process to get to me, and I just put my head down and do good work. So
do you want to share any of those or not really?
I mean, the normal attorney can't unless like someone has put it out in the world if you're their legal counsel. But no, I cut my teeth early on that with 21 Pilots. Right now, I probably work on just 4 or 5 main ones. I work on a lot of dead mouse projects, which is huge in the EDM world. I'm not his attorney, but the management company and who he does all of his kind of business operations with, I represent that company. The management company is called 720 Entertainment. So constantly interfacing with his legal counsel and my representation. Work on a lot of Jelly Roll stuff because work with his producer and songwriter on a lot of projects. It's just one you back into it and you're like I worked on a big Post Malone project all last year and got to the end of it. I'm like, okay, I need a break from this.
Yeah.
So have represented his former manager for probably a decade. So it's fun. You work on some big time stuff, but it's also, I'm just ready to like turn it off at the end of the day.
Yeah,
it's really just like, widgets, like you're working on it and then like out of sight, out of mind and done with it.
Is there a sense of like, wow, this is a big name person's project that you're thinking about, or are you way past that at this point?
I'm past it at this point.
It doesn't really matter.
I'm so far past it. I don't mean that in like, I'm past it that I'm cheesed out by it now. So when I see it or someone saying something on TV or it's presented away on TV and I'm like, this is so not accurate to just the reality of the situation that I can't. It's like I have to remove myself from it all.
Are you a big music fan in general?
I would say yes. Like as a consumer, yes. I always loved music growing up. That was like a real point of connection I had with a lot of people was music. And then as I got in the music industry, I started to distance myself from live music. Like I used to love it, but I don't really like going to concerts anymore.
Why not?
The cast of characters is so cheesy.
You can kind of see the behind the scenes stuff.
It's horrible.
So what would you say is the biggest difference between entertainment law and a lot of other laws that people are practicing?
I think there's like some... with other types of law? I don't even know if I could answer that. Like my only perspective of the legal world, I tell people I'd be a horrible just lawyer. Like if I had to go to a courtroom, I would wet myself. Like I wouldn't even know what to do. And then I'll run into people around town like, oh dude, so-and-so's a lawyer. Do you know him? I'm like, not really. Yeah. I just like, I know the people that I work with and that's it.
So what's the most important skill you think that you've developed as a lawyer that you didn't have before?
Oh, that's a good question. Just not to really be intimidated of things that seem big and scary. I've got a story that really stands out that I think once this happened, it was one of those and I'm like, okay, I can navigate this. I had the imposter syndrome. I had it all. And then there was a first big major label negotiation that I had it ended up being major label, but first one was with Red Bull Records, and Red Bull used to have a pretty phenomenal record label and signing some big artists. And I had a client who was offered by Red Bull. And I got the recording contract, and it like nobody's going to get it, but it's like a phone book. Like, I mean, it's hundreds of pages, And I remember getting it, and I'm like, I'm so intimidated by this. And you go through the process as a lawyer of like, you're redlining stuff, like suggesting this change and this change. So if it weighed 10 pounds when I got it, like with my red ink, it was like 15 afterwards. And, you know, I'm nervous. I'm looking this guy up. I'm like, who's the other attorney? And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's my age, but he's at this huge firm that I was aware of in Los Angeles. Actually, they were in Malibu. And, I'm digging on his background. I'm like, he went to undergraduate at Harvard and then went to Yale, or flip that. He went Yale and then he went to Harvard for law school. He's with this huge firm. He's representing Red Bull. Like, oh my gosh, this is rough. So I'm just redlining. And I'm like 3 minutes away from this negotiation over the phone. And I'm walking down the hall and I see my dad, and he was like, don't you have that negotiation today? I said, yeah. He said, when is? I was like, 3 minutes. And he was like, you know, what's your strategy? And I was like, I mean, I redlined this document. And he was like, are you for real? And I was like, what? He goes, that you're going to do this? And I was like, this is the worst pep talk. Like, I'm 2 minutes out now. I'm like, what? I'm sweating. I'm nervous. He was like, yeah, that's not going to work. And I was like, what do you have? And he was like, ask him where he's from. And then ask him what the strategy is in the Benelux countries. And I'm like, Benelux? I don't even know. I can't name Benelux countries. At this point, I'm like, I'm so confused on what to do. So get on the call. I'm sweating. I'm nervous. The guy's asking me, so how are things, you know, in Mississippi? And where did you go to law school? And, you know, I'm just crumbling with all of these questions. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, let me flip it and let me ask where he's from. I said, where are you from? What, tell me about yourself. And, well, I'm with this big law firm, so-and-so and so-and-so. We're based in Malibu. And I was like, oh, so did you grow up in Malibu? No. I spent most of my time in Boston. I went to law school at Harvard. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And he keeps going on and on. Okay, so you're from Boston? No. Before that, I was in Connecticut. I went to Yale. And he's telling me all about that. And I'm like, okay, I don't know where this is going, but I'm going to keep pulling the thread. Mm-hmm. I said, oh, so did you grow up on East Coast? No, I grew up in Dallas, and oh, okay, I'm familiar with Dallas. I played some teams in Dallas when I was growing up. Or did you go to this high school? No. I said, well, look, this is weird, but where did you grow up? Yeah. What high school did you go to? And he was like, I'm from Mineola, Texas. And I'm like, oh, 2 hours outside of Dallas, population 5,000. Yeah. I mean, it was just, you could feel him shrinking because everything was like, oh, I'm so big and bad. And I did all these things. And you just strip all the armor. Bro, you're just like a normal person. Don't come in here and try to flex. Yeah. But I was letting him do it. Uh-huh. And then we got to this point. There's always a partner recording contract of the territory is the world, or you'll see the universe sometimes. It's stupid. But they had outlined all these specific things that they were going to do in certain geographical territories. And he said, I assume we're fine on, the territory. I said, well, no, what's your plan in the Benelux countries? And he was like, well, Red Bull's huge brand, we'll do all these things. I said, yeah, but specifically, you've outlined all these things you're going to do, but you haven't outlined what you're going to do in the Benelux countries. So I can't just give you the rights to it. Well, I can assure you we'll come up with a plan. I was like, can you name any Benelux countries? And at this point, I've already researched it. And he was like, to be honest, no, I can't. I'll have to get back to you on that. And wow. I was like, so literally the strategy of ask about Benelux countries and ask where he's from just crumbled this guy's armor. Wow. And that to me is the entertainment industry. Wow. Usually everybody is absolutely full of it. Uh-huh. And then you just get down to the real authentic parts of people and it changes the entire thing.
Wow. And your dad knew that the whole time.
I think he knew it. I mean, he's been doing it forever, but that was the situation that it really stood out at that moment forward, where I didn't have imposter syndrome anymore. The entertainment industry wasn't scary. It was just bruh, everybody's just like another person here. Just like be yourself. Yeah.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What a great story.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So let's talk about Nuke.
Okay.
So where did the idea for Nuke come from?
The idea of Nuke came when I was training for the Ironman, which was somewhat of a midlife crisis. Like I always like to give myself some sort of athletic goal or achievement for that year. And I've done several marathons, and at some point when I was doing marathons in my 30s, I was like, all right, I'm going to do an Ironman before I turn 40. And I didn't. It was one of those, my body just felt like garbage on marathons. It was always my hips and it was my ankles. So I kind of chalked it up of like, I'll come up with a different, goal. And 45, I'm 47. So at 45, I had a buddy who was like, dude, let's do an Ironman. And he hit me at the right time because it was always just in the back of my head. And I was like, all right, I'm in. And, I usually will announce it to people that I'm going to do something, not in any like bragging form, but to me, it always makes it like, okay, I'm accountable.
I'm on the hook now.
I'm on the hook. So I remember telling a couple of people I'm going to do an Ironman, and the general reaction was like, bro, good luck with that. Yeah. So I was training for it, and it was my first 100-mile bike ride. And I had a nutritionist that I would consult with because, that's a whole different game.
Once you get over like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Once you're fueling yourself for an Ironman, that's different.
Yep.
So I was consulting with her the night before the bike ride, and she said, "What's your hydration plan?" I was like, what?
Hit the water station.
Like, hydration plan? Like, okay, I got like 4 Gatorades and 60 ounces of water or something. And her reaction was so alarming that it was just like, okay, noted, like something's off. And her message was essentially, stick to that plan. Good luck. You call me the second this goes off the rails. And I get through it. It was horrible. I fell apart probably a couple hours in. And I call her, and she said, flip over your hydration drink and read the nutritional panel out loud to me. And I was like 3 words in. I was like, got it. Understand the exercise.
Yeah.
And she said, it has no nutritional value whatsoever. Couple that situation with the fact that we're fairly clean eating household. We pay attention to the stuff, but somehow I was so off on this. And then we're going to either Frank or Birdie's, games that weekend. We stopped by Costco, like pretty much 99% of the people doing the same thing, loading up on Powerades or Propel or Gatorade. And then we're going to the fields and we're watching these kids just smoke them constantly. Not 1, not 2, like they're drinking them all day. And I'm telling Leslie like what my nutrition coach said, and we're reading the panel and we're like, this is like the equivalent of our kids eating a packet of Skittles.
Oh, it's just like
every single
they might
time
as well be
we're
pouring
handing
sugar
it to
down.
them. It's horrible. And so we're like, okay, we're going to do better. Like, let's research, let's find something. And then it was like, oh, there's nothing in a bottle form for this. There's plenty of packets. You can find packets. But I remember we went to Whole Foods and we said, hey, where are your sports drinks? And they're like, sports drinks. I was like, Gatorade, Powerade. And they're like, oh, we can't carry that stuff. And they said it with such like matter of fact.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah, we can't carry that garbage. Yeah. Like, it's banned in so-and-so countries. And I'm like, wait, what? So we start researching it. We were determined, hey, let's just do something better for our kids. Let's find stuff in our own kitchen. Let's figure out simple ingredients, necessary ingredients. That's what Nuke stands for, is primarily nothing unnecessary. Keep the energy.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we just started to do the deep dive on this, and I finished the Ironman. Then we started to focus on this a little more. And then we had come across people, they're like, oh, we make our own electrolyte mix and put it in Gatorade bottles for our kids so they're not made fun of. And I'm like, wait, what?
This is a thing?
Yeah, I didn't know any of this.
Yeah.
So it just kept building and building. And I think I was at a point in my career where I'm like, look, I want something fresh. Like I need to do something else. And that was one thing that the Ironman kind of taught me, was like, you can do a lot more than you think you can do, physically, mentally, all of these things. So we kind of took on the project, and it just kept building. And we had come across people like, hey, if you make a real run at this, we may want to invest. We may, we care about, health of our kids too. And that health community was a lot bigger than I thought it was. And people were way more into this than I thought they were going to be. And we just got drinks in hand. It was first week of March. So it's very new and very real in terms of like struggles of a startup and things like that. But we've had some success with it.
I love y'all's mission, and because that's something that's been important for me for a really long time. Back when I started competing in CrossFit, I was learning about nutrition and learning about how terrible Gatorade was. And so that I started just doing coconut water. So I would always do coconut water before my comps. And if you go to a CrossFit competition, especially back then, everybody had coconut water. But the taste of it is just kind of funky. And so that's one thing that I've really loved about your product is, number one, you're targeting kids. And that's really important to me as my girls get older. And I know they're going to be doing sports and whatever. And we want to make sure they're not just pounding sugar all day long. And then it also tastes good, and it's something that has done really well at our gym, and we've had quite a few nukes on the podcast already, so appreciate the support. So,
and to think we make that in our bathtub.
Must be a pretty big bathtub.
It's a huge bathtub.
So what's been some of the most challenging parts of getting this thing off the ground? How much time you got?
Oh yeah, 4-hour podcast, and I'm going to do a PowerPoint. No, I've always been on the other side of this from a legal perspective of people pitching my clients' projects and, hey, we want you to invest in this. So to be on the other side of this now of, hey, we can't always play with our own money. Like we got our own money in it, but that only gets you so far. So you've got to look for outside investors, understanding maybe how they need to, evaluate things, and it's a risk for them just as much as it's a risk for us. Everything is a shell game. I mean, I didn't realize how much of a shell game. Oh, you've got inventory, you've got a lot of bottles. Okay, well now that's accounted for, but you can't run out completely. So now you're going to have to order more, but you may not have the immediate capital to order more. And there's a 9-week lead time. It's just constantly moving puzzle pieces, and there's infinite amount of puzzle pieces even before you're trying to market and sell a drink. So I think I wasn't delusional to think it was going to be easy, but it is way more difficult than I thought it was going to be. And you can see why people don't want to go toe to toe with a Gatorade or a Powerade, because it's damn near impossible. But our mindset on this was like, those are the giants. Like, they've done something amazing. They started this entire industry. I don't really view us as like we're competition. We're not even on their radar, nor should we be. But what we want to do is the anti to all of it. So they can't really focus on local athletes because it does nothing for their brand in the grand scheme of things. They've got to sign a Steph Curry. But for us to work with a John Doe in Baton Rouge who's 14, who the community knows, that's a little different. And we can do that. We can focus on the school and helping them kind of have a healthier alternatives and working with them directly and developing campaigns. They can't, because it doesn't move the needle for them in the grand scheme of things. And then from a health perspective, we just want to be the healthiest thing that we were aware of, that we were comfortable giving to our kids on the market.
What have you learned about the beverage industry that you didn't know going into it?
It's hard. It's really hard. It's just a shell game, and then not having any reference point, because I mean, I've been an entertainment lawyer for 18, 19 years. You got to shift, you've got to learn, and it's painful. I mean, learning anything new is painful. There's always that period where like, do I want to keep doing this? And we've been through all of those where it's like, what's the point? And then, you'll have some days where you had just enough of a win where you're like, all right, let's do it again. So it's a difficult industry.
Where are y'all taking Nuke? Where are you headed towards?
Well, the focus originally was just on 3 markets, just to see if this concept worked. And our ground zero is Birmingham, and then Nashville, and then certain pockets of Mississippi. And I can I can say like definitively we've done a lot of things right in those 3 markets. We've done some things where like that's probably not going to scale. So I think in the immediate, it is taking what we've learned in those 3 markets and now making this scale. And we found some models, especially with some schools that are very repeatable and scalable, and we can continue to kind of move it. So the expansion is what would start next. We've also got the new flavors coming out in August, which we're pretty excited about. And then working on the 3rd, with actually a client of mine who's somewhat big in the music industry, and the kids will know who it is. We're kind of working on a collaboration with
That's
him.
exciting.
So we've got some cool stuff.
Any idea when that one will drop?
No, we'll have to gauge and see how Orange will do. And then again, you'll kind of play the shell game of like, okay, how much inventory we have left? How much capital do we have? And, can we roll out these new campaigns? But we've got some really cool things we're excited about with a lot of these local athletes that we work with. We're trying to build these almost 30 for 30 style documentaries on them.
Oh, cool.
And we just did one in Nashville that should be releasing probably in the next month. And it is like, it's not small. I mean, it's like 8-person film crew and following the family for the day. And it's pretty cool.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Has this been energizing for you?
Both energizing and exhausting.
all at once.
All at once.
Yeah. When did y'all like get started? Like initially, the first step with Nuke. How long ago was that?
2 years ago.
Oh, so you've been working on 2 years.
I remember driving to Chicago for Thanksgiving, and Leslie and I took the entire time, and we were just planning and planning and planning. And then shortly after that is when we started to put our own money in and started to build a team.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to see where y'all head.
Thank you.
All right. So you talked a little bit about the Ironman. So you've been a member at Coyote for, I don't even know, over 10 years probably at this point. Has it been that long?
I mean, it's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite, but a long time.
Yeah.
So fitness is obviously a big part of your life. What is so important to you about fitness that you have these goals, and what keeps you coming back?
I like to have goals. I'm a goal setter. To me, I just connect to physical activities and sports. So I think there's probably one motivating factor for me is like, I have to have that personally. I have to have like, this is what I want to accomplish this year. That's kind of the why. But then sports has been such a big part of my life that I think it makes me who I am in so many ways. And when you have kids, you want them to know you. And just to not focus on that in front of them, I think they're missing out on a huge part of what makes dad. So I want them to see me doing hard physical things athletically. I want them to feel like they can also contribute to do that. So that was part of it. I think just psychologically, I want them to physically see me doing these things as opposed to hear stories of like, dad was pretty good. And then it's like, no, dad can still do a muscle up. Yeah. Like, okay, they can see it.
What's it been like watching your kids, get into sports and play and all that?
I love it. I mean, I love all of it. Sports is totally different now than when I was a kid. So I can see how it's harder for kids because, I mean, you got social media component, then you've got just the stupidity of people talking about like, dude, you're 13, you didn't get an NIL deal. And like, hey, your parents need to stop talking about holding out for the NIL deal. Or hey, that you just got an offer from Arkansas as a 9th grader. Like none of that happened, but the kids believe it as if it happened. So then they start their own imposter syndrome of like, well, what am I doing wrong? Like so-and-so got a scholarship already, and they can only hear dad say that's not true so many times. So it's hard. It's hard for these kids just because they believe everything that they're hearing, and that's just not the reality of the situation. But I love watching them play. I just wish mentally, and something that I try to push on them is like, and this is what I've picked up in the entertainment industry, 99 90% of what you're hearing is not true. So don't compare yourself to that.
Especially with social media now too.
Especially with social media.
So when I finished up at Millsaps, Coach Page, he would always kind of pull the seniors aside and give them a speech. And he told me this, and I still remember it. He said, as sad as you are that, baseball is over with, if you're lucky enough to have kids and then they play sports, the joy you will get of watching them will be so much greater than any joy you ever had playing. Have you experienced that?
It's true. What you wait for as a parent, because I knew when it happened with me, and we had talked about it, as an athlete, you want to have either that game or that moment where you're like, all right, I got it. Like, I know I've got it. I now believe that I've got it. And I've had little glimpses of that with my kids where it's like they've either had a moment that they've emerged and they've been the one, but it's got to click with them. So I can see it. It's building, but I want them to have that juice where they're like in their own brain instead of dad telling them, where they're like, all right, yeah, okay. I believe this now and I can do this. And again, you pick up little glimpses of that, little things, but I'm ready for them to have that moment where they're like, yep, all right, I'm pretty good at this.
That's awesome.
I'm pretty good.
One more question on fitness stuff. Are you going to do another Ironman?
It's a loaded question. I could clearly identify my why back then, because I had never done one. I told enough people in my inner circle I was going to do one. I was going to die doing one. And the training is the worst part.
Oh yeah,
it's horrible. I mean, hey, okay, I've got a long bike ride. I got to get up at 3 so I can eat processed food before getting on a bike ride for 6-7 hours, and then coming back, napping, and then running 13 miles while you're missing your kids' games.
Yeah.
That's hard. But I was determined to do it. Now that I've done it, that why has kind of faded. So if I had to go through that same training day, I don't know if I'd have the same motivation. I tell people one of the hardest things is people forget you can't wear headphones. So you train without headphones. You can't wear it in the Ironman. And the only thing that happens in your head is a negative loop. You can't be on a bike and it's 100 degrees for the 5th hour and you're like, man, this is awesome. The only thing is, why the hell am I doing this? And I'm just trying to get back home and I'm 45 miles from home. I don't really have that drive to do it as much anymore. I think I'll do another one.
All that being said, I'm probably going to do it again.
I'll do another one because I think one of my kids at some point is going to say, I want to do one.
Yeah.
Birdie has talked about it. I think one of them's going to want to do it. And that's going to be my drive of like, all right, I want to do another one.
Man, that's awesome. So when we finished our marathon, and that was the worst part for me, was the hours of the training. And it was just, we didn't even have the bike and the swim. It was just the run. And like my heel, you talk about ankle and heel stuff. My heel hurt for like 2 years afterwards. But when we finished, Claire was like, I think I kind of want to do another one. And I said, well, I am never doing another one again. Check that box. I have no desire to do this.
My body is still so beat up from it. It's my hips held up, but my nutrition got off on the race, and that really screwed a lot up. And then my problems now, it's my calves and my Achilles. So I'll go try to do a run, but once I start getting up in some volume, I'm like, my body can't handle this right now. So
I could see how that'd be tough to not want to do it if your kid wanted to do it with you, though. That's pretty cool. All right, so I sent you 5 questions before we move to the last part. What are 2 books that you love and or had a big impact on you?
I knew you were going to ask that one, and I can't remember. Okay, so you're a big reader.
Yeah.
I know this. I don't read as much as you do. I do enjoy a book, but I used to read for a living. So it was just, I read all day. I just want to pull back from it. So I do a lot of audiobooks and I do a lot of podcasts. Those are kind of the ones. So I can't say there's like 2 that I'm like, wow, that was really impactful. We were always forced to read certain books as a kid. It was like I had summer reading for school, and then like my parents would be like, you're going to read these.
Your dad's a really big reader, right?
Huge reader.
Yeah.
So it was always like, you're going to read these books. And I remember the first one that in 7th grade, I think, they made us read Civil War, which was not Civil War. It was about the rivalry between Army and Navy. And I remember reading that, and it did impact me in some ways. But yeah, that was one that I'm like, that one just stands out. I'm reading 2 right now. One just kind of fell in a weird way, but I'm reading Atomic Habits right now, which I like that. I'm reading it as opposed to audiobook. And then my dad handed me one the other day, we had a conversation. It was very short, and then he just handed me this book, and I'm like, okay, I clearly have to read this. Yeah. Ever since I was little, my dad vividly talks about the Battle of Thermopylae and he says, I was there. Like, I remember
like it's in his DNA.
Yes, I remember smells. I remember the feeling of things. And he said it the other day, and I said, where does this fit like in your belief system? Because like we grew up Catholic. Mm-hmm. So do you believe like in reincarnation? And I don't know if you've ever had a talk with your parents about this, but it was just, he gave a great answer, and I don't remember what it was, but it was a great answer, just like very, like it stayed streamlined with the Catholic belief, but then also was just bringing in some other things. And he handed me this book. I took a picture of it because I was like, I couldn't remember the title. The Luminous Landscape of the Afterlife. And it's not long. It's maybe 150 pages.
Interesting. And
he handed it to me. He said, oh, read. It's a good read. So, you know, you have a conversation with your father you've never had before, somehow started with the Battle of Thermopylae, and then he hands me this book. So I'm like, I got to read this. But that's what I've currently got. I've got 2 things that I'm reading.
I've heard enough people say stuff like that to make you wonder, like if it's memories or some way passed down in DNA or something like that. Yeah. And I feel like certain people are attracted to certain types of parts of the world. Like I've always felt really drawn to the Mediterranean. And so it just makes me wonder if I have ancestors that came from there. There's some deep questions I don't think we'll ever have an answer to.
Yeah, but it stood out enough to me that it was like, I'm going to read these 2 books. And those are the 2 that I've got right now.
What podcast do you listen to?
I love Diary of a CEO, but I don't like how things have started to shift on that podcast.
It's gotten super production.
I like his older stuff, and there's a huge catalog, so you can always kind of find a topic. Yeah. So that's usually my go-to.
I like his stuff, but like I said, it's gotten very produced, and it's a big business now. Yeah. I saw something the other day. I think it makes $50 million a year.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm not shocked, but it's,
Yeah. Second question. What's a piece of advice that really stuck with you?
I would say just a couple of things. We were always told, and this is maybe how I've done things in life too, of just, hey, if you accomplish something, okay, now what? And just like, don't glow in whatever you did, just kind of now do the next thing. I don't know if that's a good or bad mindset. I could argue either one of those, but I think that's a piece of advice that I have always had ever since I was little. Like, okay, you accomplished something, okay, like next day, like we can't live in that anymore, you did it. And then I think just being authentic, like just working in the entertainment industry, and just everybody's full of it, and everybody has this imposter syndrome, to then you realize your success comes when you're just like authentic and you're vulnerable and you kind of just really talk about yourself and you know, be your normal person, as opposed to the guy from Mineola, Texas, who had to tell me all the other stuff that was irrelevant.
And that's what this podcast is about.
Yeah.
That's why I love doing it so much.
Yeah.
Did that help you with the post marathon blues or the post triathlon blues?
What? Next thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it probably came into play. Yeah.
What's the hardest season of your life that you're now most grateful for?
Life was really hard towards the end of law school. because, you know, you're a couple years into marriage, you're trying to find your footing just as a couple. You're also trying to like provide and build. And then I think that's when Leslie got pregnant with Frank. And that was a really hard time just because there's a lot going on and you just feel lost, like you don't quite know what you're supposed to do. And then, you know, there's certain seasons of marriage, like anybody that's been married for a while, like you'll realize like year 4 may be really hard for Leslie. And I don't really know that until she's telling me, and it could be for reasons that have nothing to do with me, but then year 7 for me will be super hard for various reasons too. So it's just that ebb and flow of just everything. And I think I just try to stay grounded of like, it all passes. And I would learn that in the Ironman too. Like time's an amazing thing. Like time, just let time do its thing, and it does kind of heal situations. Yeah.
What's something about you that would surprise people who think they know you?
I'm pretty open, so I don't know if it would like shock anybody. I love journaling.
Really?
I don't know if people would know that. I journal every single month.
You do? Like, do you write it or type it out?
I write it.
Cool.
I've been doing that for probably 5 years, and it's interesting just to see like things that would have bothered me 5 years ago, or things that I thought were difficult 5 years ago, when you can kind of compare it. That's probably one. I'm a really emotional person. I don't know, but people close to me know that. I'm very sentimental with things. And then, you know, my wife she's also sentimental, but she doesn't show it the same way I do. So if I'm getting teary-eyed with a situation, it's just, you know, it's usually like, are you serious? Yeah. Like, so and then I'll go to the other room. Yeah. I'll be like, I'll have my moment. I'll have my moment. Those two things. Athletically, oddly, one of my greatest, like I would say sports has always been a big part of my life. My biggest athletic achievement ever is the fact that I have an 0-2 boxing record in Golden Gloves in the state of Illinois. Really? I have an official 0-2 record in Illinois, and it was still one of the greatest accomplishments ever. I took up boxing with a buddy, to Boris Fisher, and we started here, and we were just doing it for fitness. And then I really took to it. And then when I moved to Chicago, I didn't know anybody. So that was like, oh, I'm going to join a boxing gym and meet people. And so I got really into it, and it was really cool. And the boxing gym that I was involved with, they have this thing in Chicago called Chicago Fight Night. And it was all the boxing gyms in the area. They'll host this big fight night. It's this huge venue downtown. And some person convinced me, because I was an idiot, of like, hey, you should join Golden Gloves, because all of it's sanctions through Golden Gloves, and you should do the fight night like everybody at the gym does it. So I'm like, okay, that sounds great. So you had to sell tickets, and I think I'd been dating Leslie less than a month when I did this. So keep that in mind when I get to the end part of this story of my first loss. But yeah, so I sold all these tickets. It's legit. Like, you're supposed to have a cut man and a ring man and all this. I didn't know anybody. So I think I asked my brother, I was like, hey, you want to fly in town and be my ring man? Well, ring man serves a purpose way more than just like be there. So he flew in town, and there's this, you know, you show up, and I remember back then, it was kind of, I think it was in the winter, but I had like a hoodie and a sports coat on. And you show up for weigh-in. And I remember losing a good bit of weight, because I was like, oh, the weight class has to be 170 or something. And so I was shedding weight, and I was really getting after it for this. And I was selling tickets, and I show up for the weigh-in. I'm feeling good. And you have to strip down, get in your underwear, and they call your name. And so they do mine. I take off my sports coat, and I take off my hoodie, and I strip down, and they're like, you know, Frascogna 172 or something. I'm like, all right, I made weight. So then I go over there, And I'm standing with my brother, and then they're like, John Williams, and I can't see the guy yet. He's coming through, and all of a sudden they're like, John Williams, 189 or something. I'm like, wait, what?
Hold on.
What? So, and then somebody like casually just says, do you just want to wave it and do the fight anyways? And the guy at my gym was like, yeah, just wave it. And I was like,
Wait,
I don't even know what this means. So all of a sudden I'm looking at my brother, and he's got this extreme look of concern on his face. The guy starts walking towards me. He looks like he's done this a time or two. I mean, nose all like crooked and just covered in tattoos. And he's a big dude. And I'm like, hey man, it looks like we're fighting later. I was like, have you done this before? And he goes, yeah, I did it a couple of months ago. And I got beat. And I was like, okay. And I said, did you just start boxing too? And he was like, oh no, I was captain of the Marine Corps boxing team. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So this is the thing, like the ring is elevated, it's packed. You have a theme song you walk out to, all the stuff. And I'm feeling good still because I'm like, I feel shredded.
Yeah.
And little did I know, Golden Glove rules, you have to wear a top. I showed up in a hoodie and a sports coat. So I'm about to walk down the stairs. They're about to play my theme song. And somebody goes, whoa, what are you doing? You've got to put a top on. I was like, I don't have a top. So my brother had come from the airport and somehow got a Cups Espresso Cafe shirt that someone gave him. It was like a double XL. And he was like, put this on. I put it on, and it's like sleeves are down to here. It's like I'm wearing a trash bag. And I was like so deflated. Somebody's taping it up so it fits. And I go out and I walk into a punch like early. I don't remember anything other than just like standing up like, whoa, what just happened? Was this something? Like something happened. I wasn't hurt, but he dropped me in the first round. And then he was out of steam. I came out in the second round and wore this dude out and dropped him. Really? And then third round, he caught me with something at the very end, and it dropped me, and that was it. But it was so cool that you had to fight in front of all of these people. You cannot go anywhere. It's the most humbling thing I've ever done, and I lost, and it's still one of my greatest athletic achievements. So
cool. All wearing a cup shirt, huh?
All wearing a Cups Espresso Cafe shirt. Yeah.
So last question: what's something you used to believe strongly that you've completely changed your mind on?
Fake it till you make it.
Understandable.
Yeah, fake it till you make it. Yeah. I think there's a portion when you get into like something you want to accomplish that you've got to put in the grind and you got to put in the hustle. But I can say now in life, like, be authentic. Like, more things happen when you're authentic. Be vulnerable. Make fun of yourself. Like, just be real. Nobody cares about all the stuff you're making up to try to like prop yourself up. And I think that's so much of like the fake it till you make it. The fake it till you make it to me is like, you better grind. Like, grind, but don't be somebody you're not. Just kind of be yourself. Be authentic.
I like that. So you're married with kids. Yeah. What kind of husband and father do you try to be?
Husband, I'll start there. I mean, I try to be the soft landing spot. That's hard sometimes because you kind of get rooted in your own routine and own ways of thinking. But I try to be open to all things of just hearing what somebody's going through and being a soft landing spot. And then I think it's the attorney in me. I'm like truly a vault. So usually like you can tell me something and it's not going anywhere. And I don't try to judge, and I just try to be a supportive husband. I think all of that is a supportive environment. I don't know if Leslie would agree, but that's what I strive to be. Yeah. Father, that one's tricky. That one can get me emotionally, but I'm not going to get there yet. I want to be an active dad. I want to be like a dad that they're never going to question if I would give time to them. Where if they need time from me, I'm going to give it to them. And I want them to know, like, I'm a huge I'm a huge person on the mental game. Like, you can manifest things. I fully believe that. And if you have a strong mental game and how you evaluate things, I want them to fully understand that. I wish I did as a youth athlete, because I felt like it would have taken me to other places and then taken me into other places in life. And I want them just to know, like, if you can think it and you think it strongly, you can get there. Don't listen to the other noise. The other noise is literally just noise. This is your race. It's not anybody else's race. So I really want them to understand that. I try to do little seeds every single day where they pick that up. And then I just want them to know, like, time's not a thing. Like, I will trade other things to make sure I'm giving you the time that you need. Yeah.
And that kind of bleeds over into my next question, but what are you intentional about passing on to them?
Those lessons. Yeah.
So what kind of advice would you give somebody that's maybe sitting in that role you were in law and kind of wanting to change, wanting, something else to do? What kind of advice would you give somebody in that season?
That's transitioning out of law or going into law?
Or just in that season of, I've been doing this a really long time. Maybe I want to try to launch something new or start something.
I'm not, I'm not the best example, because although it started 2 years ago, I really went all in March. It's scary. But I wish I had done more things in life where it was like, I feel like I've accomplished some cool things, but take risk. I wish I'd taken more risks. That's so strange. I don't think I'm on my deathbed, but I've read that with like people on their deathbed, where it's just like, what are things you wish you had done? It was always like, take more risk or spend more time with family. I'll give the family time, but I wish I had taken more risk. And then also not to like freak out when things aren't just like lining up how you think they're going to line up. Like, my whole legal career originally was based on things that there was no connection between all these things that I was trying. And then at some point they all connected, and I was like, okay, that's how that was going to go. So stick with it. I mean, if you feel it in your gut, go with it. I have no idea if we're going to be successful or not, but that's one, like, I'm burning the boats behind me. That to me is the only way to do it. Like, all right, I'm going in. I can't go 1 foot here and 1 foot somewhere else. It's not going to work. I'm going all in. That's awesome. Well, I'm excited to keep up with y'all's journey. So Marty, this was awesome, man. Where can people find you and follow what you're building? Well, with Nuke, you can go to Nuke Hydration, Nuke hydration.com. I think it's Nuke Hydration on Instagram as well. So that's really informative. You can place orders there. You can, that's probably the best hub. And then you can always find me at the gym. I'm a pretty open person. Come talk to me. Yeah, you can buy a Nuke at the gym too. Yeah, you can get a Nuke at the gym. All right, Marty, thanks so much, man. Thanks, bud.